Hi, I'm Emily Kramer Golinkoff. I'm a co-founder of Entourage, a 501c3 that raises funds to speed life-saving research and drug development for those with nonsense mutations of cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis, or CF for short, is a fatal genetic disease that primarily affects the lungs and digestive system. It causes thick, sticky mucus to build up in the lungs, leading to life-threatening lung infections. Back in 2011, we started Emily's Entourage. We were seeing game-changing breakthroughs coming down the pike for roughly 90% of the CF population. But with 2 copies of a rare nonsense mutation of cystic fibrosis, I was part of the 10% that unfortunately wouldn't benefit from any of them. On top of that, I have advanced stage lung disease, about 30% lung function, and so we realized that time was of the essence, and most importantly, that there was a whole group of people in the same boat as me. And so we saw a strong need for leadership, coordination, and focus on behalf of the final 10%. And so despite having no background in science and no background in fundraising, and honestly no desire to start a nonprofit, my family, friends, and I were spurred by desperation, and we dove in headfirst and started Emily's Entourage. From the very beginning, our mission has been singular: to bring life-saving treatments to people with nonsense mutations who are part of the final 10%, and to do it fast. Since then, we've come a long way. We've raised over $10 million and secured over $37.6 million in follow-on funding. We've awarded 25 research grants to top academic institutions around the world and deployed a venture philanthropy model to spin out a CF gene therapy company that's now in the process of submitting a new drug application to the FDA. We launched a patient registry and a clinical trial matchmaking program to help connect potentially eligible patients to relevant clinical trials and expedite clinical trial recruitment. And really, all of these efforts are focused on accelerating research and drug development for those with nonsense mutations of cystic fibrosis. So when I started LeadersLink, I set 2 main goals. The first was to adopt and implement a policy regarding IP, monetization, and returns on academic grants. The second was to develop a process for internally vetting investment opportunities. And I'm excited to share that we made a lot of progress on both of the objectives. For the first objective, adopting and implementing a policy regarding IP, monetization, and returns on academic grants, I started by conducting research and including an environmental analysis to understand the best practices and our range of options. And we ended up landing on developing a revenue sharing model for our academic grants. I worked with a legal team to revise all of our grant contracts and materials and add that revenue sharing policy in. And we successfully completed our first round of grant awards using the new policy in January and February of this year. For the second objective, developing a process for vetting investment opportunities, we started by developing criteria for vetting and evaluating anti-infective opportunities, with the understanding that that could be applied to other therapeutic areas as well. What became clear in that process is that we needed a leader internally to head up these efforts. And so we ended up hiring a chief scientific officer to oversee all of our research and drug development, including strategic investments. Our chief scientific officer is now in the process of finalizing our scientific roadmap, which outlines priority therapeutic areas and makes recommendations around financing, including allocations between our grants and strategic investments. So despite the progress, there were some significant challenges along the way. For the first objective, after adding a revenue sharing policy into our grant contracts, we found that our grant contract negotiations took longer than they ever had before and longer than we had expected. And we realized that we really needed some legal resources to help during the negotiations to keep them moving forward. And so that's something we're in the process of working on now, not insurmountable, but just something we had to work through. For the second objective, we faced a really big challenge, which is that for chief scientific officer, we were looking for a very unique and specific type of person, a true unicorn, someone that blended business and entrepreneurial experience with a deep scientific expertise as well. And so it took us over a year to find the right candidate, but we finally landed an amazing chief scientific officer. Her name is Dr. Chandra Ghose, who joined us in January, and we are so thrilled to have her on the team. The main reasons that I joined LeadersLink was, I was thrust into this role without traditional professional development. And I often face situations that I've never faced before, and I honestly don't really know how to handle them. And what was really attractive to me about LeadersLink was gaining a community of people to learn from and share with and support along the way. I was also really looking for mentorship to grow as a leader and to gain management skills and leadership skills to make me more effective as I run Emily's Entourage. And finally, FasterCures has an amazing network of people and knowledge, and gaining access to those connections was really seemed like it would be incredibly valuable. And really all of these things were aimed at increasing our impact at Emily's Entourage, and I'm really happy that my experience with LeadersLink proved incredibly valuable on all of these fronts and more. So I want to say a huge and heartfelt thank you to the FasterCures staff, to my fellow LeadersLink participants, and my amazing mentor, David Panzerier. I was really so honored to be part of the inaugural LeadersLink class, and I feel like I gained such incredible insights and relationships and just knowledge and experience along the way, and I'm really incredibly grateful. So thank you very, very much.